Californians ages 5 and older can get vaccinated. Let's get it done so we can have fun safely.
Hey guys, it's Shalana. As the mask mandates lower, get the facts to keep your family safe. Know your status, get tested, get vaccinated.
Hi, this is Wesley. Vaccinations protect us and the people we love. Get vaccinated and boosted. It's safe, effective, and free. Talk to your parent or guardian and get it done so we can have fun this summer.
Young Enough to Know is a program of BWAPA-tiled Black and Vaxxed funded by Vax All 58. Go to blackandvaxxed.org for more information. Take the pledge to keep our community safe.
How many of you feel that you haven't really had a voice? Come on, raise your hands. Have you felt that you haven't really had a voice? Well, guess what? Today you do. All right.
Yes.
Well, I've seen I know a lot of people who had COVID, and they didn't stay inside, so I feel like everybody was mad and hurt because of that, including me, because we're never gonna get over it if people go outside without wearing their mask, without getting vaccinated. So
the more we know,
The more we know,
the more we grow.
Why? And it was a lot. It was pretty bad. I mean, I haven't seen it as much lately, but I remember when the vaccines first came out, there was a lot of back and forth between different people, just of whether it was good, whether it was bad, and the type of person you are for doing it or not.
Welcome everyone for coming to our Black and Vaxxed Youth Initiative. The name of our campaign is Young Enough to Know, and we thank all of you young people for being present today. We really appreciate you coming out for us. We want this to be a relaxed setting. We want you to be able to just talk freely and in a relaxed manner how your experiences were during the pandemic. We would like for you to share with us what you went through, what you learned, maybe some new things that you tried, and things that you expect from us as adults and from the adults in your life of how we can work better together as a family and as a culture and as a people to get through this pandemic, because the pandemic is not over. This has been brought to us by BWAPA Tile. It is a Black women's organization out of Oakland, California. It's the oldest women's organization in the state of California. And also it's funded by the state of California through Vaccinate All 58.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
There you go. My name is Armand Carr, aka The Voice. I'm also the founder of All Tied Up, which is a young men's nonprofit that utilizes the necktie to build confidence in young men of color. I'm also 50% of the radio show and the podcast, The Lady in the Voice.
And I am 100% the lady in the voice. No. Hello, everybody. You guys can have a good time. I know we can't see your smiles, but can we see your smiley eyes? Thank you.
How to make your eyes smile.
Make your eyes smile. I'm Eileen, and I am also a part of All Tied Up. I work with the young ladies. The initiative started for young men, but now I work with the young ladies. So right now we're working with about 600 youth. So we're really excited to have you guys here because it does show your leadership skills.
Yes.
So welcome.
You all, welcome to Young Enough to Know. And you guys are definitely someone we want to speak to because your voice is extremely important with all of this, okay?
So my name is Vishawn Huff, and welcome to our Black and Vaxxed Young Enough to Know Youth Roundtable. I want you to give yourselves a hand for being here. Young enough to know.
Yes.
So we are here today to engage you all in an informative and kind of lively discussion about something that has impacted us all, and that's COVID, right? Over the last 2 years, we've had to deal with the challenges of being shut down and shut in and isolated, and we wanted to just talk about how it impacted you all as young people. As adults, we know that we've been having our own stresses, but sometimes you guys aren't like the priority and the center of some of those things, and we don't always hear your voices. So we wanted to make time to hear your voices and you share your experiences, as well as some of your thinking about how we should, move forward as we come to hopefully an end, right, to this pandemic.
I am Jay Red, you guys. I am a comedian, I'm a host, and I'm a radio personality for KJLH 102.3. And I also used to play basketball under Michael Jordan. He was on the second floor, I was on the first. Okay, listen. All right, got the jokes out the way.
How have you been doing? How have you been feeling? Especially during these last 2 years with the pandemic, when there was no going to school, you had to do everything virtually. How did it make you really feel? You couldn't talk to your friends. Go ahead and start off.
I think during the first year of COVID, we were in Zoom classes, and I felt kind of lonely because I didn't really get to see any of my friends in person. I had to talk with them through the phone or through an online game or something like that. And I just didn't really know how to feel myself.
I think that at the first lockdown, I had a hard time adjusting to school. I found that difficult trying to find different things in Google Classroom and just different things like that. But I think I've gotten a lot better at that and more confident in myself just in general because I had to adjust in that sort of way.
I'd say it wasn't as fun as it usually is physically. No sports, no actual academic learning in groups.
I think the hardest part was finding motivation to still participate in school and stay engaged even though it was on a computer.
It was definitely tough because all my friends are really basketball oriented. Dev and Max are probably my closest friends. So just being around basketball, that's how I made my friends and grew those relationships. But I still got it in. I was still I'd run where I could around the neighborhood. I'd shoot in my front yard. So it never really stopped for me. It was just a little harder, I would say.
I didn't really have problems with online school. I was just I like being around people. So being isolated is difficult, but I didn't really struggle much with school.
I feel on online school, it was a lot less encouraging of asking that question that you're thinking, whereas when you're in the actual classroom, the teacher kind of sets that up at the beginning of the year. Hey, I want you to ask these questions, feel just to encourage you. But online, most people were just turning their camera off, turning their mic off, and just going off somewhere. And they weren't really speaking, and that just kind of made the whole class think, oh, well, I should not be doing that then, because I don't want to be different than everyone else.
It doesn't feel like it was that important.
No.
Got you. I got you. Anyone else would like to expound?
Yeah, like he said, everyone had their cameras off. I will be truthful. I definitely had times where I'd turn the camera off and go take a nap because I'm sitting in my room and my bed's right there.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
why not? So it was just really hard to learn through a computer screen.
Being a school nurse, I never would have thought I would be working from home as a school nurse. When they shut the school down, we literally was working from home. So that meant I was calling my family, checking on them to see if they had enough food. Because, a lot of the students, they get their meals from school. And the one good thing I can say about Oakland Unified School District is they provided lunch, breakfast for the whole week. The family can just went out and they just picked up the food for the week. And then I've also noticed it's the children, some of them did get depressed because they were used to being around their classmates and not being able to have that social gathering. A lot of them did, became depressed.
It was a bit annoying because I'm not used to really spending like back to back time with them like that. Even though I live with them, it's still like I need my own personal time. And my family, they're like a close, get up early kind of bird family. So it was kind of annoying to me, but it made us closer at the end of everything.
I think I really had to adjust because my parents are actually divorced. So I think that switching households back and forth kind of brought new challenges, especially with COVID going on. And since I kind of live far away from my school, it's not normal for me to just wake up and see my parent. Like, I don't know. I'm usually by myself when I'm getting ready for school. So I think that was a real adjustment, but I love them. And I think we've grown closer through COVID.
I used to, so before COVID started, I had like tutoring and I had dance practice. So I would get home really late. So I would eat out a lot, and staying at home and not going out to eat really taught me and my family to cook more at home. And so, like me and my family are good cooks, and we know how to cook, but we just never had a lot of time to cook at home. So during COVID, we learned like new recipes. We made a pizza from scratch one time. Yeah, so we tried new things.
Some of the big issues that I saw was that, and the people of color, I like to say, oftentimes like kids live with their parent, maybe one parent, and then there may be grandparents as well in the household. If you go out to play with your friends, if your friends came from home and someone inside the home was positive for COVID, now you turn around and take it into your home to generations, meaning your siblings, your parent, and then the grandparent. When those people ended up in the hospital, there was no one left to take care of the kids at home. Or sometimes each person was in a different hospital. So when people called our hospital to say, how's so-and-so doing? You know, it was pretty hard to say they didn't make it. They died. So if grandmother died, and then we call the next hospital where mother is, and mother died, who's taking care of the children? So I think that was one of the things that people didn't think about, was who's left to care for all the children that are left behind now without that support system of the adults to help care for them. There are lots of those now, and I don't think anyone's talking about that yet anyway.
Some of the symptoms were hard to get past by because I was laying in bed and like my body was just really weak. I couldn't really get up and go to like the kitchen to make some food or anything. It was really hard. And me and my family had COVID, and I think it was harder for my dad because he couldn't smell or taste anything. So yeah.
And someone else, you had COVID.
When I had COVID, me and my mom and my dad thought it was just a common cold, but both ways we thought that I should take 2 weeks off from school. So like 4 days into the week, it started to get a little bit worse. So my mom took me to go get tested at a testing site, and it came back positive. So I quarantined in my room. I didn't have any devices. So my dad set up his old iPad for me, and I watched TV on there basically the whole time. And I got soup a lot, but I really didn't have an appetite at all.
Everything tasted the same, like pretty much the same. So it was always just like, I always like refer to it to like a COVID taste. Like there's not really like another like food or anything to describe it, but everything tasted the same, and you didn't want to eat it anymore.
Practically, I didn't really see my brother that much. He was pretty much in his room 24/7, except like my mom brought him food or he went down the stairs. But like before, like my mom told me that he had it, like she Lysoled like all of upstairs, and like she did her best to like disinfect his like get rid of anything in my room. She asked me to open all my windows, like air out my room.
Right.
And like if I was in the kitchen and my brother was like around, I would have to like wear a mask around my brother. But other than that, well, I never got it. So, but I still was able to like function normally in my house. I normally stay in my room other than going to the kitchen, and that's when I see you in the kitchen because you're always getting food when I get food, and it's not even like accordingly timed. But yes, I only see you in the kitchen.
Hi, my name is Eli. The pandemic took a lot of toll out of my health, and it could take a toll out of your health. My family has been affected, and lots of other people that I know has also been affected. And that's why I encourage you to get vaccinated and get tested and just stay safe and all in general.
Young Enough to Know is a program of Bawapa Tiled, Black and Vaxxed, funded by Vax All 58. Go to blackandvaxxed.org for more information.
Join us and take the pledge to keep our community safe.
My anxiety was really, really bad to the point where I would not leave my room because I was scared of what would happen if I left. So I was anxious all the time, but I got help. So I'm better now, but it was really bad. I was always shaking. I would just start crying because I was very worried about family members because I have a lot of older family members. And one of them is very sick. It's like off and on with her. So I was like worried if she was getting sick, and she doesn't answer the phone a lot. So when she wouldn't answer, I would just spiral. And yeah, it was really bad.
Going through depression and anxiety, I didn't mostly because I didn't really expect COVID. So when it all hit like at once, I got nervous from it. My grandma actually, she was scared of it the most out of my whole family, and she tried to keep herself inside the most. And just like my grandma, she didn't really answer the phone that much, so that had me scared too. But at one point, my grades were falling, and that started to give me depression.
It didn't affect me mentally, but it did affect two things. It was definitely affected my grades and just my overall social skills. And I wasn't really able to go out and do the things I wanted. I used to be a very physical person and loved to run around and do a lot of sports. It just kind of eliminated the fact that I couldn't do any of that.
They told me it was airborne, so that when we got to school, they told me it was airborne. So like the door had to be open, the windows had to be open, the doors couldn't be closed. So it was like really cold. It was always cold. The heater never worked, so we would just be freezing because they were like, "Oh, it's airborne. We can't close the doors and stuff." So yeah.
A rumor that I heard was that if you got COVID, that you weren't able to walk, and I know it's true for some people. Yes.
So that's something you heard. If you got COVID, you couldn't walk anymore?
Yes.
So your legs stopped working?
Yes, and then I also heard that if you got COVID before, you couldn't get it again.
Oh, that's a big one. If you had COVID before,
You can't get it again. Did everyone else hear that?
yeah. It's important to pass on the right information. There's a lot of fake news out there. That's why blackandvax.org is so important. Each and every one of you need to go on blackandvax.org, tell your friends to go on so they can get the right information, because there's a lot of fake news. Social media will have you thinking things like that. Get COVID, you can't walk.
Right, no more walking.
You know, if you're a certain culture, you can't get it. How many of you heard that? If you're black, you can't get it. Well, guess what? That was wrong.
That was very wrong. Right.
Well, at first when we came back to school having to wear a mask, it was kind of hard to keep it on because I'm so used to mask free and all of that. And sometimes it almost got to the point where you get in trouble for it, for not wearing a mask, and you'll have your nose out because one of my previous teachers was like a big germaphobe, so he'd be like, "Why is your nose out? Put your mask on," and all that. So, I mean, it's a big jump from where it was to now.
Well, at first, when it was like a big thing when we get back to school and we had to wear masks, I didn't really think too much of it. Like when everybody had their mask on and then somebody didn't have one on because most people had it on, and the people that had it off, it wasn't really affecting like us or them because we had ours on and we were good from them getting it. But when the mask mandate got lifted, it was kind of difficult because there would be a lot of people without mask on and we knew they had COVID, and then it would be like a case of like everybody having their mask off and only a couple people having masks. It was almost like it was at first I was more like hesitant because of what was going on in the climate, but as it started to die down, the numbers started to go down. I didn't really get too hesitant about it because there was almost no point because everybody was either vaccinated or hadn't been exposed, so it was fine. But as time went on, I feel like I got more comfortable without having masks again, like how it was before COVID. So I think it's a little bit of both, but it just depended on the period of time it was at.
There's a germaphobe teacher. She really did not, like, she still does. She said, I'm not afraid. I'm afraid of getting COVID from you guys because you guys are always outside playing. And then another thing was I understood the concept of a mask, but, like, I wear glasses, so it was hard for me to breathe. So when I had to talk, I had to take off my mask. So I kind of got in a little bit of trouble.
It made me feel better myself. I feel like I had like a say in like trying to protect like whatever else my community can and like the people I live around.
Our mom gave us like the decision. She was really like open. Like she's a doctor, so she's a veterinarian. She's not a human doctor, but still she gave us a choice, and she never like she's very like open and like free with us. So she's always like she always tries to guide us in the right direction, but she's never like gonna like really force us to do anything like that.
When COVID first started, our dad was like really, like he made sure we were staying like really safe, staying home at first when it first started, and then when the vaccine started, rolling out, he kind of waited to see like if there were any like unknown effects. But then when he like saw that it was mostly safe, he said like, all right, we're gonna go get vaccinated so you guys can. It was mostly because like we're so busy with basketball, he wanted us to stay safe because we're going into these crowded gyms with all these people from all over the place. So it was mostly just to keep us safe in the things we were gonna have to be doing. So, and I wasn't opposed to it because I kind of wanted that because I don't want to go around and catch COVID, obviously. So that's how I felt about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there was really anything that was making me lean towards not wanting to get a vaccine, specifically in the house and just in my own intuition. I didn't not want to have it. There was nothing that made me think this might not be the best idea. I thought it was the right decision to just go and get vaccinated.
Okay, thank you for that.
Great answers, you guys. I really appreciate you guys opening up like this.
For me, for my family, I feel like we were all on the same page when the vaccine came out. We all wanted to make sure it was safe, and then once it was safe, my parents really just like said, we're gonna get vaccinated, and none of like me or my brother, we weren't like opposed to it. So, and plus like to go on, we heard that for me, because of my official visit to college, I had to be vaccinated to go on campus too. So a lot of things now, like you have to be vaccinated even to go. Yeah, even to go on campuses or anything. So in that aspect, they didn't really have a choice for that. But but when I got vaccinated, I feel like I was just taking initiative with it and becoming healthier. I mean, I didn't really see any negatives to it. So, but yeah.
Well, I think that the main reason for getting vaccinated is to take care of my family with, grandparents both have like diseases. Grandfather had cancer, grandmother had multiple sclerosis. So under family decisions, we just decided it would be best to get the vaccine. So I just technically went along with it. So
sometimes my mom plays the news, and I saw that COVID cases were rising. And then also my mom knows like friends who have got sick from COVID, and she has gotten sick herself. And I just
And then also she has friends, and she doesn't, she works at the hospital too, but she's a occupational therapist, and she like has had some people who like got sick from COVID and had to get help, as she had to help them as an occupational therapist. So I think it's also important for like me to be vaccinated, so I don't spread it to her people at her work.
I feel like I need to get vaccinated because, well, I would want to go out more, and I am going out more, and I just feel like it would be better for me and my family to be vaccinated, so none of us could get sick, and if we do, it wouldn't be bad. Oh, like the day I got it, it wasn't all so bad. I was like, oh, okay, I'm all fine. Next day, I wake up, my arm is like very sore in like the area that I got the shot in, and I didn't really feel great. So it got to the point where I would have to take a day off from school because my arm was like, ah. So it was easy then difficult.
Okay. Were you scared before when you found out you have to get a shot? Were you compliant, or were you like, Dad, really, I don't want to do this?
I was pretty compliant,
Great.
for my own safety
Okay.
and for also relative safety because I usually am around my grandmother a whole lot. So I knew what I had to do to keep my family safe.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Can you share your experience getting vaccinated?
I knew the difficulties of getting vaccinated because my mom's a nurse as well, and so my mom's a nurse as well, so she worked with the COVID people, but when I first got it, my arm was automatically sore.
Well, at first I was kind of scared to get the vaccination because I had heard that somebody had tested it on their daughter, and that person's daughter had died. And I got kind of scared. I was like, But then I figured out that if I get the vaccination, I could go back to school. And then another thing was, if I got the vaccination, my mom said I could go to the movies. And like, I really like going to the movies, so that was really fun. But the morning after, my arm was numb. Like, I couldn't feel it. Like, it was, and I had had a performance that day, so I had to perform with my arm numb and sore. So it was really super unpleasant. So.
At first, I was kind of hesitant on getting the vaccine because from like things I would hear online, it was like it wasn't working, or like a big thing back then was about how Johnson and Johnson, like the vaccine that they had, wasn't really that good. So I was kind of worried that is this one that I'm about to get not good either. But then my mom told me, or she kind of informed me that like the ones that were coming out now were more like updated and more like tested, so it was safer. So I got the vaccine. I was kind of nervous because I had heard that when you would get it, you would be in a lot of pain, either in your arm or you kind of feel sick the next day. But I was just like, I might as well just get it over with because the school year was over, so I wouldn't really be doing too much, especially since everything was shut down. So I got it, and then like immediately, like 2-3 hours later, my arm was hurt, but I was like, it was normal because it was just that was what usually happened after you got the vaccine. So I was like, okay, it must be working then. So honestly, I was hesitant, but when I got it and I had seen like the normal effects I was like taking, I was like, okay, this might actually work. But then in my mind, I had this mindset that if I had got it, everything would be okay. But then I had to realize that it has to be given to everybody else. It has to take a while before everybody has it and it's accessible to more people. So like it was a little bit of relief, but at the same time, I had to realize that it wasn't really going to change a lot. But I did my part, so it felt good.
Were you scared for your mother? Her being a nurse and around a lot of folks who have contracted the COVID-19 virus. I mean, were you scared for her?
Well, I will say, honestly, I was more happy that she was getting the experience because it seemed like she wanted to go out and help people because she's good at that and she loves to do that. So it was more of a relief instead of fear. But then when I started to see the reports that nurses were getting sick, and then it just seemed more of like a prevalent thing that a lot of nurses were getting more sick too. But then at the same time, I was like, it's my mom, she'll be alright, she'll be straight. But then it kind of became more of a relief because it seemed like even though there was a lot going on, she was staying strong. She was meeting new people there. Because she was in New York, so it was like she was able to go different places, go see different things. So it was like even though it was a dark time, it seemed like everything was bad. It seemed like she found the good in it, and so I just had to find the good in it as well, so I could stay strong for her, so that she wouldn't be too worried about me.
Hi, my name is Winter. All Californians ages 5 and older can get vaxxed. Let's get it done so we can have fun safely.
Young Enough to Know is a program of Wapatow's Black and Vaxxed, funded by Vaxxed All 58. Go to blackandvaxxed.org for more information. Take the pledge to keep our community safe.
When I'm with them, I kind of feel unprotected, but since I have the vaccine, I kind of feel a little bit safe, like I have an extra guard of protection. So that if they were to have COVID and they aren't vaccinated, if I were to get it, then maybe the vaccine would help so that it can eliminate it.
I have a couple friends that aren't vaccinated, but I don't hold it against them because I understand that you might not want to put something that you don't know what's in it in your body. So I understand why they might not want to get the vaccine.
Me, it really doesn't really make a difference for me. Like, everyone has their own opinions, and especially in high school, like, it's usually not up to the kids if they can get it. Like, some families, they're just completely against it. So obviously when I got it, I was encouraging other people to get it. I mean, I didn't see why not. I was just no. If they said they wouldn't do it, or like I said, some people, their family was just completely against it. So at that point, I'm not gonna push it upon them, you know.
Like he said, I have a lot of friends that are vaccinated, but I have some of my close friends who aren't, and like they told me why sometimes it wasn't even their decision, sometimes it was their parents' decision, and I don't treat them differently. They're still the same person. Like, it doesn't affect how I look at them. And obviously, if like for basketball, I was encouraging our teammates, just because if someone like gets hit with COVID, then it could like affect the whole team for up to 2-3 weeks, and that could completely alter the season. So that's why I would go encourage people.
I'm afraid of getting COVID because I feel like it's very dangerous and it's very contagious, and you could get really sick from it and possibly die. And I like to be healthy. I don't like being sick at all. So just the thought of getting COVID and it possibly being worse just makes it scary.
I feel like I'm afraid to get COVID because I've seen a lot of like the side effects, and then I've heard other stories how it's like really dangerous. And sometimes people joke about it, but like I've heard and like I've kind of seen like what it could do, so I'm afraid of getting it.
What will you guys do if COVID doesn't ever go away?
To me, I feel like I would be kind of sad because I wouldn't be able to see the world the same, and I would have to get used to it all over again. There's still cases on the news saying it's getting worse, but it's also getting better, so I don't really know how I would react or feel about it.
I think if COVID will probably never leave us, I think we would have to live with the fear for the rest of our lives, and as long as COVID is there, because I don't think we've ever had to go through that type of fear before. So we're not really used to that.
So do you all feel like you'll be living in fear if COVID remains? No? Yes? Most of you are saying yes. Can you tell us why?
I feel like I would live in fear if COVID was to remain forever, because it'll be like you couldn't really do everything that you used to do before COVID happened or was really out in the world. And it'd be like, personally me, I love to explore and go see new places. And since COVID has happened, I've been more terrified to get on the plane because there's been stories and rumors about people who've been get on a plane that mostly everyone that's been on that plane get off has COVID and would spread it to their family. And I have a little sister and my grandma at home, so I wouldn't want to bring that onto them, especially when they already have their own health problems. And I feel like before COVID, we used to do a lot more things and go to a lot more places, and it's been more tougher on us because we have most of my whole household, we are a more explorer, go see new things, do new things type of people.
My future goals would be to actually go and face my fears, because I have like a lot of fears and stuff, and in the future I really want to try to go and face them and do different things in life.
Into the future, I'd probably sanitize better because it's really kind of turned into a habit ever since the pandemic started. So I think I'd also keep my mask just in case, even after the pandemic's over, because it could always come back like other diseases have.
A habit that I've made like since the pandemic started is like whenever I'm out places with my friends, like making sure they're sanitized or like making sure that everything's like clean, like when we're out, just to like be safe.
I would be cautious around like them, make sure that I also keep my hands sanitized, and like if we're in a large area, probably put on a mask and maybe encourage them to wear one also.
I would tell them to like wear their mask around me because I know a lot of people like at the school I was gonna go to, nobody wears masks there. Like not one person I've seen wear a mask unless they're getting sick. And I would just tell them to sanitize better, keep your distance, and like don't be touchy for everything.
Just wanted to again just empower you all to, since you've been vaccinated and a lot of you have experienced COVID, you are like the perfect person to share and to empower. Remind people about the mask, remind people about the testing, and just let them know that it's okay. And don't be afraid to be that example. Even in a situation where maybe everyone is not doing something, don't be afraid to be bold. To be bold and stand for what you believe in and share what you've experienced.
Well, our future goals is to continue to serve you, our youth, and to make sure you have a voice, and to make sure you have platforms like this to share your voice. blackandvax.org has provided this for you. Wapatal has provided this for you. And so has the Oakland Roots. They have provided this wonderful facility for you to share your voice. Because your voice is important, because your voice is the future. And we expect you to pass on your passion. Whatever you're passionate about now, you need to share that with someone else. So make sure you talk to each other when you're done. If you cook, you want to go to Bishop O'Dowd, he's wearing a shirt that literally says that right there. You cooks get together, talk to each other. Singers, talk to each other. Learn how to talk to each other and stand up for yourselves. All right? We want to thank you. We're going to have the team from Wapatal tell you next steps, but we want you to give yourselves a round of applause.
Hey, what's going on? This is your man Jay Red, host, comic, actor, and you know what? I'm a father, and this pandemic is personal to me, so I want to reach out to all the parents and encourage you to please, you and your children, if you can, get vaccinated. Continue to wash your hands, social distance, and get tested as frequently as possible so that we can stay safe in our communities. Join us and take the pledge and keep our community safe.
And I want to ask
everyone in the room, if you could please repeat after me. We're going to say a pledge. That's a part of our campaign. And even those behind the camera, if you can say this pledge with me, if you can repeat after me. Say, I commit to do everything.
I commit to do everything
in my power daily.
in my power daily
To reduce exposure.
to reduce exposure,
Infection and the spread of this virus.
Infection and spread of this virus.
By keeping myself.
By keeping myself,
My family.
my family,
And my community.
and my community
Safe in the following ways.
safe in the following ways.
Frequently washing my hands.
Frequently washing my hands
With soap and water for at least 20 seconds.
with soap and water for at least 20 seconds.
Changing my clothes.
Changing my clothes
Upon arrival to my home.
upon arrival to my home.
We didn't talk about that, but when you guys get home, take your clothes off because there's germs out in the elements. So when you get home, take them off. Our grandmothers used to teach us.
Come on,
Get out of
and-
your school clothes.
and she said soap and water. If
Yes.
you run out of soap, let me give you a good hood trick. Add water, okay? And you can add water and it give you more soap. That's something else. All right, anyway, keep going.
Okay, we're going to keep going with our pledge. Staying home.
Staying home.
If I have any COVID symptoms.
If I have any COVID symptoms.
You all spoke about this. Keeping community spaces clean.
Keeping community spaces clean
And sanitized.
and sanitized.
Socially distancing.
Socially distancing.
Wearing a mask.
Wearing a mask
Or face covering.
or face covering.
Building safe community.
Building safe communities.
Keeping myself moving.
Keeping myself moving.
And managing stress.
And managing stress.
Volleyball, fencing, the exercise. You
That's
gotta
right.
commit walking, committing to keeping our bodies
Track.
healthy. Telling someone if you feel emotionally or mentally not okay.
Telling someone if you feel emotionally or mentally not okay.
And the last thing we ask you to commit to in our pledge is to please repeat after me. Share WAPA Tiles.
Walk with towels.
Blacks and Vax website.
Blacks and Vax website
At blackandvax.org.
at blackandvax.org
With family.
with family
Friends. And social networks.
and social networks.
Thank you, everybody.
All
Thank
right,
you very
y'all.
much.
Let's clap it up, clap it up.
Young Enough to Know is a program of Wapatow's Black and Vax, funded by Vax All 58. Go to blackandvax.org for more information. Take the pledge to keep our community safe.